guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike. Thanks for watching this with me today. This is going to be a spoiler review for Violent Night that just came out starring David Harbour. Now, the non-spoiler review, if you don't want the movie spoiled for you at all, there's not a whole lot of spoilerish stuff to talk about in this movie. It's pretty standard the way it goes. But if you do want to see the movie and you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, I am going to put a spoiler-free review on our TikTok, which there's a link for in our description below. I may actually add it to one of the podcasts this week, on our podcast as well this week, so if you want to check it out there, that is available in the links below as well. Tons of podcasts, tons of cool stuff, Spotify, wherever you listen. But anyways, Violent Night. So look, just full frontal male nudity, as always on this channel. I'm just going to be honest with you guys, I'm not a Christmas dude. You know, I'm not a Christmas dude. I like Christmas fine. I love it for my kids. I like the lights, the season, all that stuff like that. But I'm not a dude who walks through Kohl's fucking whistling jingle bells. For instance, I am not a Santa Claus dude. Personally, I think Santa Claus is a creepy fucking dude, all right? There, I said it. I think it's creepy. The kids on your laps, the sneaking in people's house at night, the noises he makes when he eats cookies. I just, you know, he creeps me out. I think that adults are weird with their obsession for Santa Claus. I'm just going to be honest with you. I think there's way too many Santa Claus movies out there. Unpopular opinion, I know. I put that on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and some guy's like, well, just don't watch them then. Yeah, all right, that's fair. But I like David Harbour a lot, and I'm a huge Die Hard guy. So you tell me Die Hard on ice during the Christmas season? Fuck yeah, I'm all in. Especially when we're talking about a B movie action horror flick that somehow snuck into a wide theater release. Like my fat old ass snuck myself into skinny jeans last week when we went to an emo night. It just snuck itself in there. And I don't know how they did it, but I love that they did that. I love that original action horror movies are going to theaters, wide release, big release. I think it's fucking cool that they did this because this movie has VOD written all over it. So that's the difference when you hear what I say about this movie. I appreciate that it's just a popcorn B VOD level flick, but Die Hard, it ain't. It's better than Die Hard 5. For sure. That's definitely the only Die Hard that I would put this movie above. Look, it just doesn't know if it wants to be an action movie, a comedy, a Christmas Hallmark film, or a horror movie. It is all over the place, and it's not really good at any of those things. So getting into the movie, it's written by the Sonic the Hedgehog guys, the guys who wrote both Sonic the Hedgehog movies, and it's directed by the person who made Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which is totally the kind of almost cheesy action you can expect in this movie. And they also directed Dead Snow 2, which is kind of, I get why you looked at, you know, this guy for that. But it stars John Leguizamo as the lead bad guy, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to break into these super, super rich and super, super stupid people's house. They have this family business that's almost this, like, Mad TV Succession thing that's going on with this family. They're all sucking up to the mom, who was Babs from Entourage, if you remember her. Beverly D'Angelo, who's an awesome actress. She was great in the movie, by the way. But yeah, it's this whole family of suck-ups, and they're in this big mansion, and John Leguizamo and his group of bad guys want to steal the money from them, and they hate Christmas, and they hate this family and everything they stand for. So they have this group of specialty bad guys who are coming to steal $300 million from their vault in the basement. And meanwhile, there's this whole thing about this family is so rich, they have an extraction team, and it's this group of like hardcore Navy SEAL motherfuckers that whenever there's a kidnapping or a ransom in the family, they will show up and kill everybody. But one of the twists, one of the spoilers is John Leguizamo paid them and hired them to come and help him. Meanwhile, Santa Claus is getting drunk at a bar, played by David Harbour, and that's probably the best part of the movie, to be honest with me. That's when the comedy works the most, is when it's drunk Santa Claus, and he sits there and he has this dialogue about how nobody believes in Christmas anymore, kids are a bunch of assholes, all they ever want is cash, and he's sitting there with a mall Santa Claus getting trashed, and that was fun. When he takes off with the reindeer, he's so drunk he pukes from the sky onto the bartender's head, which was like, oh shit, we're in for, this movie's definitely going for it. They're going to be gnarly as shit, and this is definitely an R-rated blasty blast. I don't know if it really ever lived up to that. Second best part of the movie is when he's going from house to house and he's just drinking people's booze and he's like bitching about their cookies and their milk choices and he's like sitting in their massage chairs and shit like that. Those parts were funny and I like that a lot. Then he gets to their house, and when he gets to their house, obviously he's stuck in this mansion delivering presents when the bad guys show up and he has to kill a bad guy to get his way out. And then he ends up realizing that one of the girls on his nice list, who is actually still not... Then he realizes that one of the girls on his nice list is trapped there as well, so he decides to kill all these bad guys on his naughty list to save the girl on his nice list, and there's the plot of the movie. Now, I said before that this movie doesn't know if it wants to be action, comedy, whatever, so let's go through each of those. The action scenes are all just all right. They're nothing great. For one, there's a scene in the attic towards the end that's probably one of the bigger action scenes that takes place, and it's all so dark. And I wouldn't say it's all shaky cam. It's not necessarily that level of badly filmed, but I mean, it's no John Wick choreography. It's not even like the setups and the landscapes that like a Die Hard movie would have. It's very, very VOD action level. This scene in the attic, that's one of the biggest action scenes, is really dark, and I can't tell for sure because everything's happened so fast and it was so messy the way it was all filmed but I think the reason they made those settings dark on purpose is because a lot of that blood seemed to me like it was super CGI'd blood, and a lot of the action didn't look all that great to me, so they kind of muddled it up so you couldn't tell. That's just my opinion of it, but not impressed with the action scenes at all. One of the only action scenes I really enjoyed was a one-on-one fight he has with this guy where he takes like pool balls and wraps him up and beats the shit out of the guy with them, and it's also the best horror scene of the movie because at the end, the way he kills him is he takes a Christmas star and he jabs it into his fucking eye, and then he plugs the Christmas star into the wall, so when the Christmas star lights up, it sets his eye socket on fire and sets that guy's face on fire. Definitely the coolest scene of the movie, in my opinion. But yeah, later on in the movie, when they move to the outside landscapes and you've got this whole SWAT team and all that shit going on, it's totally not impressive, man. The editing was bad. It was one of those movies where someone can shoot at someone right in front of them and miss, like a fucking stormtrooper or whatever. It's boring. It's very just stale and just generic action chase scenes and stuff like that. Absolutely nothing to write home about. There was one point where you thought it was over and another action scene started, and I was almost disappointed. Like when he goes to embrace his wife and then the bad guy stands up, you're like, Jesus Christ. And then you have to watch this silly fight scene where this wimpy dude jumps on his back and screams, and it's just like, okay, tick-tock, motherfucker, let's get this thing done with. But yeah, there's a couple half-decent action scenes, like I said, but most of it was just nothing to write home about at all. The comedy was all right, like I said, like the scenes in the beginning with drunk Santa Claus, and there's a couple decent one-liners, but nothing good enough that I can even remember a single joke from for the most part. And also, it's all so saturated with Christmas shit. And remember when I said earlier that like I'm not the biggest Christmas guy, so maybe everybody won't feel the way I felt about this, but I felt like they just went too hard. Every single joke is a Christmas pun. The bad guys call each other by like gingerbread and Scrooge and shit like that. It's just all too damn much. Like they just pimp my ride, squeeze the shit out of the Christmas idea. And by the end of it, you're like, if I see fucking a candy cane, I'm gonna shit my pants in anger. I'm so sick of Christmas by the end of this movie. And they do some more stuff with that we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, the comedy's just all right. My 13-year-old said we got out of the movie. She was like, I don't know if I was watching like an action movie or a bad Hallmark Christmas movie. They go so hard on the goddamn holiday hyperbole in this movie, man. It's all the meaning of Santa Claus and all this shit. It was funny when he was just kind of a jaded Santa Claus in the beginning, but then you get to the end and it's the little girl and all this stuff, and it's like, adults should believe in Santa too. It felt like the movie was trying to tell us as adults that we need to be more whimsical and actually believe in Santa Claus. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's what I'll do. You know what? I'm not going to buy any presents for my kids this year because Santa's got it covered. Yeah, that's not going to fuck them up for life on Christmas morning. We're all going to end up in therapy. Like, what are you asking me to do, writers of Sonic the Hedgehog? And they have this really corny moment where he's dead, right? And they're all like, I believe too. I believe he's Santa. And then he magically comes back to life and you're like, this is some hokey shit that we're dealing with right now. And there's so many Christmas speeches and stuff like that. It really is bad Hallmark stuff a few times in this movie, and it doesn't fit in this movie that's supposed to be sort of Bad Santa-ish in its own way. It's supposed to be this, you know, it feels like they just didn't want to go all the way with the whole prospect of the B action horror movie, and they shoehorn this stuff in and just feels like it was a studio executive's decision to do that. I could be wrong. It just has that feel to it. Someone's like, I fucking love Santa! They had so many opportunities to really go for it, and they never really do in this movie. For instance, John Leguizamo's character. I was psyched to see him as the lead bad guy. Hell yeah, that's going to be fun. Anybody could have played it the way he did it. He just played it straight up, I'm a mean bad guy. He didn't chew the scenery. They didn't let John Leguizamo. Either they wanted him to play it straight up, or he came in and he wanted to like do like this macho role and play it straight up or whatever, but it was just boring. I mean, it literally was just like a chalk fucking bad guy who hated Christmas. And pretty much all the characters in the family were just like standard cut out rich stupid assholes. The only funny character was the one played by Cam Giganette, who plays like this action star who's trying to suck up to the mom to get money from her. I think he's actually based off of like a Mark Wahlberg type character, because there's a scene in the movie where he's literally said the thing that Mark Wahlberg said. He's like, you know, it's too bad I wasn't on that plane in 9/11, because I'd have taken those guys out just like I did in my movie Action Browser or whatever the fuck. Action Browser? David Harbour was great. Like, he delivered the one-liners. He was that gruff, singular action dude that he could be in a Die Hard movie, and he could carry that role. It's just the movie around him didn't live up to his character. The Santa Claus shit that they do with him is just weird. So at the beginning, like that one fight that I said I liked, right? When he's just one-on-one with this dude, that felt very John McClane-ish or whatever, and that sort of deal. It was just like a gruff dude in a hand-to-hand combat fight with this guy, and they threw in a little Santa Claus magic along the way. That I could have dealt with. But then they go into this whole new avenue with him, starting in like the middle of the movie. He has this dream where he's like this warrior on a battlefield, and I don't know what in the Kris Kringle fuck the actual story, the prologue to Santa Claus is, or if there's some stuff about him being a warrior. I don't know. I never studied it because it's not fucking real. They go into this weird thing. He's like surrounded by fire, and he's like, I had a hammer that I used to kill people with on the battlefield. And you're like, what in the fucking Thor ass is this? He literally becomes Thor. And then he finds a hammer at some point, and that's when the action just goes straight downhill. It becomes literally like Thor. He's just like swinging his hammer and like hitting people and shit like that. And I was like, oh, damn, we fucking jumped the shark on this one. So look, if you're a hardcore lover of all things Christmas, like if you're listening to Christmas music in November and that shit never gets tiresome for you, and you're also a fan of B-level like horror action movies, you may have a blasty blast with this movie. Or if you're a huge Christmas person who doesn't really watch a lot of those over-the-top action or horror movies, this movie might blow your fucking socks off. But for me, it was a ton of shit we've seen done before and done better before. We've seen violent Santa Claus, we've seen action Santa Claus, we've seen potty mouth Santa Claus, we've seen drunk Santa Claus, we've seen all that shit before, and there's nothing in this movie that goes far enough to really transcend any of the stuff we've seen before. So for me, I respect the fact that it is a B movie, VOD level movie that made it to the big screen. I love that for the movie. And as a dumb popcorn film, I can respect it enough to give it a 6 out of 10. But again, Die Hard on Ice, it fucking ain't. And it's probably not something that I may ever watch again. But it was all right. It's a 6 out of 10. It's above average. What did you guys think about the movie? Comment down below. And give me a Die Hard situation. If you can. This is like homework, I know. But like, give me your Die Hard situation. Like, John McClane in a mall, in a shutdown mall on Christmas. John McClane at the World Cup type situation. Die Hard at the World Cup. Oh, that's sudden death. They did that with hockey, sort of. But one of those. Give me your all's best one of those that you can think of in the comments down below. And I love your all's fucking faces. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for taking the time to watch this with me, and Merry fucking Christmas. Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not. Yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.